Hello everyone. Hey Beth. How you going? I'm just waiting. I can see that there's 2 comments, but I can only see one of them, which is very odd. And I don't know why. Hey Lenny. One of the comments doesn't seem to be there. I don't know why. Hey everybody, how are we going this morning? I'm going to, what time is it over there for you? It is 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, and I'm out of bed, which is quite an achievement, quite honestly. Hi Donna, nice to see you. I'm so annoyed, Donna, that we're still in lockdown and I can't actually catch up with you while you're here. Hey Keely, nice to see you. All right, so today, as you can see, we are going to be doing some blending. So let's get right in. I'm actually going to be making 3 cards, so try and do them quickly, but they are simple cards, relatively. They could be described as 1 layer, but I'm actually going to cut it down and put it onto a white card base, so technically it's 2 layers. But yeah, we'll see how we go. And I'm going to be using these blender brushes. Now, I've seen recently some comments about how to use blending brushes, so I'm just going to give you some tips about ways that you can use them to get more out of them in the video today. So I'm going to start with some, this is just Nina Solar White, and it is the 110 pound, so that's approximately 300 GSM for those of us who are not in America. And I'm going to be using this Slimline Double Tree stencil from the September release. So this stencil, I love the fact, I think I said this in my video 2 days ago. Hey Nicole, nice to see you. I think I said this in my video 2 days ago, that I love the fact that with picket fence stencils, a lot of the time, not always, but a lot of the time, you get the stencil and the negative space as well. Because it's great, because you can use it as a stencil and also use it as a mask. You can use them together or separately. So yeah, it's very, very useful. Hey Nancy, how you going? All right, now with this one, I'm just going to keep it on this grey background just for a tick. You can see I've got a few little fluffy bits because I cleaned it with a baby wipe and it's stuck to, I've got pixie spray on it, as you can tell. This particular stencil, you've got a little bit of internet. Hooray! Yeah, Nicole is in Louisiana, and you might know of the troubles that they've had in Louisiana recently, so it's fabulous that Nicole is actually back home and getting back to normal, hopefully. All right, so this stencil, you can see that this side looks like treetops, and this side is just the spaces in between the treetops. You can tell this because if I turn that over, that looks like the weirdest tree ever. And these little tops, they don't look like the tops of trees, and that one doesn't look like the top of a tree either, or that one. So that's the negative space, whereas every single one of these looks like a normal top of a tree. So that's how I tell which bit's which. Now I am, as I said, I'm going to be using both today. I'm going to flip them over because I want the pixie spray to be facing down. And to start off with, I'm actually going to be using the negative space, because when I do my ink blending, I want the actual dark ink to be where the trees are, not where the negative space of the trees are. Hey Trisha, good morning Trisha. Most people it's not morning right now, but Trisha, I know it is. Okay, so because this is a slimline and I'm just doing a standard size card and I'm doing it in portrait, not in landscape, I can move this all over the place to get different trees in different layers. Hey Letitia. So I'm going to, the first card I'm going to do will surprise nobody what colour scheme I'm going to use, because it's me. I'm going to use blues. Now, I have actually seen quite a few people do cards like this recently with like layers of trees. I know that Erica has done one. I think Rachel on our design team did one. I also saw Jennifer Maguire did one recently. Not with this stencil, but with another one. But with lots of blues. But I'm going to show you 3 different ways that we can add detail to the stenciling afterwards. But I need to start up the top. So I've got tumbled glass. And all I'm going to do, I want a very light application of tumbled glass. So I always get rid of some of the ink on my blending tools, because you can see I've rubbed that pretty much there. And I always add too much. Always add too much. So I just want it to be light here. So notice I'm holding the blending brush by the handle, because, oh yeah, the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina, wonderful. I've actually got a photo, not of trees, but of just mountains in Italy, and it's just, yeah, grey blues from palest to darkest, and yeah, it's a very similar look to what I'm doing here. I know I've seen Lydia do a card with like a mountain range at some stage, doing this kind of thing with the different layers. We always get like the blue tinges in our mountains because of all the gum trees, the eucalypts sort of have that blue tinge. Alright, I think that'll do me for the tumbled glass. Now I've actually got 6 colours of blue. I'll just run through them now. So, tumbled glass, salvage patina, Mermaid Lagoon, salty ocean, incorrectly named Michelle Blue. This is not called prize ribbon. This is called Michelle Blue, and chip sapphire. Yeah, so I was holding my brush with the handle to get a light application, but I'm not always going to do that. Okay, so I've got my negative space stencil. Just sort of lining it up because I'm thinking I want 6 layers here, so I'm just trying to get a decent amount of space between them. Okay, I reckon that'll do. Alright, so next colour. Now, and I'm not going to clean the brushes because these are all blues. So I will be changing. I've got a light blue brush and a dark blue brush. So halfway through I will change them up. But with this one, you see there's not a huge difference in the darkness of the colour between the tumbled glass and the salvage patina. But I want this next layer to be darker. So you'll notice that I'm going to hold the brush differently. So the first one, I just held it by the handle and just blend, blend, blend. This one, I'm going to hold it by the head. So I've got my fingers wrapped around the handle just so I can control it better. But I'm going to hold it by the head to get a bit more oomph behind it. A bit more pressure behind it. But also, another thing I'm going to do is I'm not just going to do the sort of blending like this. What I'm going to do is drag it down. And that will get sort of the most intense colour right at the tops of those trees. And then I'll start blending, and I'm not pressing as hard now. Then I'm blending down a bit further, and I'll just get that colour to come down. Alright, that'll do for that. Next colour. So you can see this is going to go really, really quickly. I'm going to pick up and move it across. And when I put this down, I'm going to try at least in a couple of places to get the trees to sort of overlap. So you can see, oops, let's try that again. It didn't stick down very well. Because I'm using up pixie spray that was previously on this stencil. I didn't actually add any extra to it today. This is just leftover pixie spray from the last time I used it. So yeah, I do have pixie spray on the back of this stencil. So you can see here, this new tree that I'm about to ink is not actually directly over the top of the one underneath it. Alright, so now I'm using the Mermaid Lagoon. Start with my dragging down. Now you can see I'm getting some blotches down here. Doesn't matter because I am going to be going over that with a darker colour. So this is a very forgiving technique. If you start with the lightest colour and work to your darkest, it's all good. Alright, I do have a fair amount of ink there, so I'll just get that off. Alright, next one. So you can see we're starting to build this up. Alright, I'm going to move it over. Ooh, about there I reckon. What do we think? Moving to the next colour. Salty Ocean, which is one of my favourite blues. You know, I used to, before Prize Ribbon came out, in the Distress Oxide lines, and the Distress Ink line, I used to get, sorry I'm sliding off the page, aren't I? Oosh. I used to get a colour very similar to Prize Ribbon when I used to blend Salty Ocean up against Blueprint Sketch. But now I just have Prize Ribbon. Alright, I'm going to change over to my dark blue. Now, I'm going to move it right over to this side, I think. Now. Alrighty. Prize Ribbon. So again, I'm holding the head because I want it to be nice and dark, but I'm also blending it out. And one more layer. Now, I hate to tell you, but you're probably going to get sick and tired of me because I'm actually going to do this 3 times, but with different colours. So you can see how those different colours go together. And oops, it popped up a bit. Now with this one, I'm going to try and get the colour right down to the bottom. So this is Chip Sapphire, the darkest. Alright, that looks pretty good. So there we go. Alright. In need of a baby wipe to get rid of all this ink on my work surface. And there we are. So that's the first one. But that's just one. As I said, I'm going to do 3 with different colours, and I'm going to show you a few different little tricks for each one. Just get rid of this blue. But then, once I've got those 3 backgrounds, we're going to add some detail to make them look different. Hey Joe, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I was just checking out your Instagram this morning, Joe. Alright, so there's my blue one. Done. Can anybody guess what colour I'm going to next? Anyone want to have a guess? Oops, I don't want to start with that. I want to start with palest colour at the top. What colour do you think I should use for a card with a whole lot of trees on it? What do we reckon? Essie, you know me too well. I'm going to use pink. I'm I'm going to use pink. Oh, Sherry, you have to check out, Erica did a card recently with, yeah, oranges and yellows and, yeah, there's some really good cards if you check out our design team with this stencil doing a very similar thing, and lots of people have done lots of different colour variations, and it's really cool. Alright, so same stencil, different colours, starting with my palest colour at the top, and yet again only holding the handle because I don't want it to be too heavy. Now, the very observant of you may have noticed, yeah, I love doing unusual colour schemes for Christmas. I mean, I do sort of always gravitate back to red and green and gold for Christmas, but I do like, yeah, unusual things. By the way, you probably might have noticed I'm actually doing this on top of my computer, because then I can see what your comments are right in front of me. Alright, so you might have noticed that I had 6 different colours of blue, but I've only got 5 different colours of pink. So, this is where, well, I actually don't even have 5 different colours of pink. I've got 4 different colours of pink and a purple. But I'm not going to use the purple by itself. What I'm going to show you is the variation that you can get depending on how you use your brush. Oh, this is just, this underneath my cardstock is just a non-stick craft mat. It is from Tonic. So, yeah, it's a bit slippery. But I like it for videos because it's sort of a white plain background. That's the only reason I'm using it, and that it's easy to wipe stuff up of. Alright, so I've used the Tattered Rose already. I'm moving on to Kitsch Flamingo, and I'm going to, again, oops, my pixie spray. You know what, I think I'm going to have to very, very quickly add some more pixie spray. Talk amongst yourselves, I won't be long. You really shouldn't do this inside, but what I do is I have a shoebox and I spray it, and then I put the lid on the shoebox and wait for everything to settle, and then take it out and I'll just wave around. You really shouldn't. You should actually do that outside because you don't want to get the spray into you. Now, I'm trying to line this up with where it was. Was it that one? Yeah, it was. Okie doke, try again. Yeah, so the mat that I'm using is, it's called the Tonic Essentials Easy Clean Mat. I usually work on one of these, but it looks very, very messy for a video, so I decided to go with a cleaner mat. Hey, Karen! Karen! Everybody together, all together, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Thank you for coming and seeing my video on your birthday. Oh, alright. So again, I'm dragging the colour down so it's darker at the top and a bit blended out to the bottom. Alright. Next colour. What am I going to use? I'm going to use Worn Lipstick, which, honestly, Worn Lipstick doesn't go directly in between Kitsch Flamingo and Picked Raspberry because Worn Lipstick is a bit more of a yellowy pink, but I make my own rules, so I do what I like. Alright. So trying, and because Warm Lipstick and Kitsch Flamingo, again, are similar in their intensity, like their darkness of the colour, I'm trying to press down a little bit harder when I'm using the warm lipstick because I want this layer to be darker than the previous one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. I've put them a little bit closer than my previous blue one, haven't I? Alright, I'll move it over this side now. Next colour is Picked Raspberry, which is quite darker. Exactly, Nancy, artistic license. Oh, and it's come out quite dark, but that's okay. That's okay. So that was my fault, that one, because usually I tap it off on my mat before I do the first one, and I didn't because I'm distracted. Alright, that's the first Picked Raspberry. I'm going to do Picked Raspberry 2 more times. And we'll see, so that's the first one of Picked Raspberry. Now we'll see what difference I can get by doing different things. So I'm going to super ink up, and I'm going to go really heavy. Really heavy. Okay. See? Light application, dark application, same colour. So it was just the amount of pressure that I used, and it's whether you hold it just with the handle, gives you light, and if you hold it really firmly with the head of the handle, you can get a really dark application. But I need a darker one, so I'm going to use the Picked Raspberry one more time. One more time. This time I don't necessarily have to go quite as dark. I'm just going to blend right over the bottom because I have a trick up my sleeve. So you can see I didn't really add that as heavily as I did the previous one because I also have seedless preserves. So I'm going to get out my purple brush, but I don't want this to look purple. I want it to look dark pink. So I'm just going to not add too much, so I'm going to tap off a lot of my ink to get rid of the excess, and I'm just going to very lightly go over the top. So you notice I'm not holding the head of the brush, I'm only holding a handle because I want a light application. Okay. And you might think, I can't really see any difference there, but when I take it off, you will see the difference between the bottom one and the previous one. See? Jenny, how you going? Another Victorian here. Woohoo! Australians doing us proud today in the video. Hooray! Alright, so you can see that even though I actually added a purple down there, it doesn't really look purple because I just added heaps of the Picked Raspberry and just a little bit of the seedless preserved, and I got a different pink. Now, what I am noticing though is there's a great big white patch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where was it there? I'm just going to put the previous one, so that hole is where there should be some pale Picked Raspberry. So I've just grabbed my brush, I haven't re-inked it at all with the Picked Raspberry, I'm just going over because I don't want big white patches. And because I actually use the Picked Raspberry in this bottom layer, it doesn't matter that I'm adding more. Alright, yeah, Laura, wait until you see the next one I'm going to do, talking about non-standard colours for a Christmas card. Whoo! Alright, so, and of course this stencil does not have to be used for a Christmas card. Absolutely not. You could use it for anything, really. It's very useful, I reckon, for masculine cards. I always find that trees and leaves, foliage, are really good for masculine cards. Not entirely sure that this classifies as a masculine card. Not sure. But this next one more, and then I'm going to get on to how I'm going to add some detail. What's the time? 9:26. Good. We're going well for time. So, can anybody guess what colour I'm going to do next? When I said it was absolutely non-traditional. Any guesses? While I just reorganise my ink pads, because I didn't have room on my desk to have all of them out, because who does? Okay, so I have that one, I have that one, I have that one. Yeah, you people know me too well, Rainbow. Absolutely. Absolutely. Alright, so I have 1, 2, 3. And, oh, I used Cracked Pistachio the other day, so I think I'm going to go with Twisted Citron just to be different. And Salty Ocean, actually no, Salty Ocean's too dark. I might go Broken China. Notice I'm just using my actual swatches, so these are actual ink swatches on the side, so this is what the colour will actually look like on the cardstock. Now I'm going to go Wilted Violet. Okay, so I'll just whack all of those ink pads back in their drawer. Alright, so let's begin now. Rainbow. Rainbows don't have to be in the same order. So they don't always have to start at red and end at purple. Because, as we said before, artistic license, I can do whatever I like. So what I'm actually going to do, because I like the background to be pale, what I think I'm going to do is that. So I've got yellow at the top. Now what I'm going to have to do, because I'm not going from lightest to darkest, and especially because I've got the darkest colour in the middle, I am actually going to leave a little bit of white space in between them. Okay, so let's get started on this one. And I am going to have to clean my stencil in between because I don't want to mix up my brushes with my, colours that don't go together. Alright, so starting with my yellow, Squeeze Lemonade. Again, not too dark, I'm just holding the handle just to get a little bit of colour down. Alright, next one. Oop, my video just dropped out for a second there. Apologies. Alright, now, I need to be especially careful with this one because I always find that spiced marmalade, yes, I know, well, it's not out of order, it's just slightly rearranged. I mean, the red's still next to the orange and the blue's still next to the green, but yeah. Alright, now I'm making sure that I've tapped off a lot of this spiced marmalade, so because spiced marmalade, whenever I use it, it comes out too dark, so I need to be careful with it. So again, I'm just holding the handle, I'm not trying to get it super dark because I know it's going to come out darker than I expect anyway. So does anybody else have ink pads like that, or like Copic markers that you're like, oh, need to be careful with that colour because it just doesn't agree with me? Alright, I think that'll do. Yeah, the Stencil's a great one, and the fact that you can just use it for a slimline. I've actually got a video coming up on our YouTube channel in a few weeks, in early October, where I use this stencil on a slimline card. So I'm not going to give you a sneak peek right now. Okay. So what have I got next? So we've done the yellow, we've done the orange. We'll now do, I know it's not red, it's pink, Worn Lipstick. So sue me. I like using pinks in rainbows instead of reds. No, I'm not the only one. I'm allowed to. I can do what I like. Within reason. Alright, I am going to go in a little bit darker. I'm trying to make this one just overall a little bit more pale, I think, because rainbow, instead of a unicorn Christmas card, isn't it? Alright, that looks nice. Now, again, when I do the purple, I am going to have to be careful. I don't want it too dark. Oops. Where do I do it? About there, I think. Because the purple is by far the darkest colour in this rainbow that I've chosen, I need to be gentle with it. So I'll tap off. Okay, sorry, I'm missing some of your some of your comments because somebody sent me a message and it popped up over the top of all your comments. How rude. That's moved again because I've moved this so many times. The pixie spray is starting to give up the ghost. Pixie spray can be used multiple times, but I've just used it, 5, 10, I'm up to the 13th time I've used it. Just today. Oh, actually no, I did re-stamp spray it in between, didn't I? Alright, I want to go just a bit darker right at the top of these trees. So I'm just, because the brush that I'm using is one of the bigger ones, the biggest one, I'm just, when I wanted to get it in a little area, I'm just holding it up on an angle, so I'm just getting a little tip of it. Of course, there are so many different sizes of these blender brushes. You can actually use a smaller one, but seeing as I had this one out, it's just another way you can use it. Okay. Now, I definitely want to wipe this off out of the purple because I don't want that going everywhere. Alrighty. See, I quite like that as it is. Quite honestly. Oh my god, did we have 50 people? Oh. So, sorry, I'm trying to read the thing out. If we get 50 people... Oh, it keeps moving. Michelle, we get to pick 5 people who comment for this stencil. Oh, to win the stencil! Awesome! Thanks, Nicole! Oh! And we hit 51, did we? I can't see how many people are here. I don't know where that is. Alright, anyway, we're going to move on to the blue, and I do want this to be a little bit darker because it's a fairly palish blue, and I've just realised I'm using my dark blue brush on my light blue ink, but oh well, we're getting a little bit of chipped sapphire and prize ribbon in there as well. Oh well, too bad. My bad for picking up the wrong blue brush. But it still looks good. It looks a little bit more muted than I had wanted, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Alright, last one. Last one. You know what? Because that is muted, I'm not going to use the Twisted Citron. This is what I do all the time when I'm making cards. Change your mind. When things don't go the way you want, change what you're doing. I think Cracked Pistachio is going to look better with that muted blue than the Twisted Citron would have. So I'm going to change my mind and go to Cracked Pistachio because I want to. All right. So last bit of stenciling. And again, I'm doing this one quite heavily. I want it right down to the bottom. Okey doke. Yeah, I reckon that colour looks better than the Twisted Citron would have in this particular instance. All right. So, no, it's not just you that does that, Donna. I do it all the time. I reckon for every 100 cards that I make, I reckon one of them turns out the way that I planned. I'm always changing my mind about what the cards look like, and yeah, when things go wrong, I have to change things. If I make a mistake, I have to go, oh, well, now it's going to have sequins to cover that up. Yeah, I do that all the time. All right, so I have now, see, that didn't take me too much time. That didn't take me too much time. I'm going to, yeah, I am going to finish them tonight. Hopefully. At least I'll finish one of them, but I'm going to show you 3 different ways to add some extra detail to these. All right, so I think I'm going to start with this one. And this one, I am just going to add some white gel pen. And what I'm going to do is just on some of the trees it's going to look a whole lot more, it's going to show up a whole lot more. It's not showing up a heap on this spice marmalade because the spice marmalade is fairly pale, but when I start going especially onto the purple and the blue, oops, if the pen will actually work, I'm just adding a little bit of white. Be good if my gel pen would actually work. A little bit of white on the tops of the trees. Let me see. If I have a new gel pen, because that one seems to not be happy. Ah, that's better. Be good if you actually have a gel pen that works. I'm just adding a little bit to sort of the tops of some of these branches, not a heap of detail. Another thing you could do with a white gel pen, which I'm not going to on this card because I'm going to do something different on the next one, but you could just put dots of white gel pen on all over it to make it look like snow, but I have a different way of doing that, so I'm going to show you in just a bit. So you can see where I'm going with this, just adding a little bit of white gel pen to the tops of the trees. It will take me a few minutes to do that, so I'm not going to finish this one right now. So anyway, that's one way of adding a bit of detail. Next way of adding a bit of detail, which you've seen me, if you've seen any of my live videos before, you've seen me do this before. So you won't be surprised when I bring out this bottle. This bottle has paper glitz. I just took one of our little spatulas, mixed up the paper glitz, scooped it into this and dumped it into the bottle and filled up the bottle with water. Okay, so now I can see we've got 50 people here. Oh no, who broke their right arm? Sherry! No! Oh no. Hopefully you'll be able to do at least a few things one-handed for a little while. Alright, so my spray bottle of paper glitz sparkle. Now, the amount of paper glitz that I used in this bottle was too much for the spray mechanism of this particular bottle. I don't know what brand this bottle is. It was not expensive. If you use less paper glitz than I did, you'd probably be able to get it to spray, but I don't care, because I've been using this by doing this. I just, oops, signal just dropped out for a tick. I just dip that into the bottle and splatter it on. Now, Nicole has told me that we have a new product in the shop, which is a fan brush. And I don't have it yet, but she tells me that me adding little sparkles to all of my cards, which I tend to do to all my cards now. Every single card I make, I'm like, oh yeah, I can add some paper glitz to it, which I used on my card 2 days ago in my 7 in 7 video. She reckons that I'm just going to be going nuts over this fan brush. So have a look in the Picket Fence shop and you will see in the new products there is a fan brush. Okay. So, oh, look at that. Let me show. Look at that shine. Oh, it just pops, especially on the darker colours down the bottom. Oh, I just love this look. And it does absolutely look like snow. Absolutely look like snow. Okay, so that's the second way of adding some detail. So I've added detail with white gel pen. We've added detail with splatters of my favourite paper glitz sparkle. Now, third way. Where have I got my... Okay, here's my blue one. We're going to use paper glitz again, but I'm just trying to find everything that I need. What I'm going to do is... Oops. Sorry, that was my tower of ink pads just toppling over. Alright, I'm going back to my stencils. And, oops, this one's a bit bent because I've got baby wipe on it. Alright, I just want to make sure I can line them up. With, is it that one? Or is it, it's that one. Can't have been the other one because it was off the edge. Thought that can't be right. Alright. I'm missing a whole lot of comments. Sorry, I've missed them. Let me just go back. Joe, you absolutely need to get your hands on paper glitz. My favourite is the very first one that came out, the paper glitz sparkle, which is what I'm going to use now. Now, I'm also going to be using the negative at the moment because I want to cover up. So I'm just basically masking the sky above and the trees below, if you get my gist. So all that's open is just these bits here. Now what I'm going to do, and I haven't tried this before, so fingers crossed, I'm going to get some paper glitz. Oh, Nicole, you've been waiting for me to do this. I didn't get time yesterday to actually test it, so I anticipate it's going to work really well because I've done something similar to this on a card that I made a couple of months ago. I think it was the Scorpio Girl card that I made back a couple of months ago. I did a similar thing and it's really cool, but I haven't actually tried it with this one. Okay, so you can see I'm giving it a good mix up because the paper glitz, unlike paper glaze, paper glitz will settle out. So all the glittery stuff, the mica in it and the glitter in it will settle out to the bottom. But I just love mixing it. It's like ASMR, honestly, just watching it. And yeah, I'm going to dump it. Oh, and I've just dumped it onto the stencil. That's not what I wanted. I wanted it onto the work surface. Oh, well. See, what you get when you do a live video is you see me make all the mistakes. You don't just see a pretty card at the end, you see all of the rubbish that happened in order to get that card at the end. Oh dear. Alright, now I have this old, very old makeup sponge. It's just one of those triangle ones that you get at the supermarket or the chemist or anything. I have actually used it with some ink because I couldn't find a brand new one. I apologise. And I actually have used this for this technique before, but as I said, on another card. So what I'm doing, the reason I'm using a sponge is because what happens when you use the sponge is the sponge actually soaks up some of the liquid component of the Paper Glitz sparkle, and you're left with more concentrated sparkle. Now, I don't want heaps of it. I don't want to go completely overboard, so I'm just going to dab it off. And then I'm going to dab it on the tops of the trees. Just on the tops. Not heaps. I'm going to pick it up in a minute to sort of see how much I've got there. Oops, that was a bit much there. And I suspect, I need to tell people on Facebook, don't send me a message while I'm doing a live, because then I can't see the comments in the live. Yeah, is there ever too much sparkle? No, there is never too much sparkle. Absolutely not. Hey Kelly, nice to see you. Yes, Kathy, everybody needs Paper Glitz, and especially the Paper Glitz Sparkle. It's my favourite. It's my favourite. Oh my god. Sorry, I can see it and you can't see it yet, but oh my god. For people in Australia, you know I'm like channeling Effie right now. Oh my god, mate. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, I am inordinately happy with that. Inordinately happy. Alright, so I've done that one. Now I need to mask. I just need to find which bit of the mask to use. I could probably get away with not using the bottom mask, I reckon. But I'm not going to risk it, because I don't want to get the Paper Glitz everywhere. Alright. Now, one thing that I do find when I use Paper Glitz Sparkle with a sponge like this is I end up with Paper Glitz, oops, what's that? Paper Glitz on my fingernails, and unless you get it immediately off your hands, it's going to stay there. However, Paper Glitz on your fingernails is not a bad thing. It's gorgeous. And every time you look at your hands, you go, oh, look at that pretty. So that doesn't worry me in the slightest. Not at all. Oh, this is, oh no. Oh no. You know what? See, this is what happens when you do things live. And this is a learning experience. What's happened is when I stuck the stencil immediately down onto that one, it stuck to the Paper Glitz, and when I pulled it up, it pulled off some of the ink and some of the cardstock. So that has happened. So if I was to do this in the future, there's two ways to get around this. That was not a happy accident, that was a sad accident, because I could probably go over it with more Paper Glitz. However, I don't want to, because now I've got Paper Glitz on the back of this stencil. I could put a sentiment over it. What I'm going to try is, because we always want to try and fix things if we possibly can, I'm going to try just gently going over with some more Paper Glitz to try and hide it. However, yeah, in future, exactly, Brandy, I would have started at the bottom, or I would just leave it sit for 5 minutes in between each level of trees, because then the paper glitz, because paper glitz doesn't take that long to dry at all, and then I wouldn't have had that issue. Yeah, so that's not bad. That's not too bad. I've mainly covered it up. So I'll show you, hold on. See, when it shines, you can't really see where that's pulled up. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Alright, where are we? That one goes there. I'm just gonna make sure there's nothing sticky other than the what's it called? Pixie spray. Don't want to put that in there because it'll be a mess. I'm trying not to push down very hard on the stencil, and I'm going to be super careful when I pull the stencil up. Careful. Alright. That one's alright. Okay. Only 2 more layers. That one and this one. Trying not to stick it down too hard. I'm trying to read some of the comments that I've missed. Yeah, you don't need to heat set paper glitz. You can, with paper glaze, if you try heat setting it while it's still wet, you can actually make it bubble up. And that, it gives you a really unusual texture, and you might be going for that look. But it doesn't take a huge long time to dry. So yeah, I don't really heat set it at all. Okay. You can see I'm dabbing, I'm not sort of pulling or sort of blending with this sponge. I'm just sort of dabbing it on. Oop, is that stuck? Yeah, it was stuck. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to pull over the Copic marker and just... There we go. Never happened. Never happened. I reckon that... maybe not. Let's try a different colour. What have we got? That one. Just the bits where the paper pulled off. It never happened. We didn't see anything. What happened? No, nothing. Nothing. However, there's now a missing paper glitz just there. So I'm just gonna... I could see a hole where there was paper glitz. There we go. Creative card making, which is actually creative. Let's cover up this mistake I just made. Which is just normal card making for me, honestly. But hey, I've seen lots of people actually say that they like seeing live videos where people make mistakes, because when you watch a video where everything goes right and then not everything goes right when you do it, it can be a bit disheartening. Happens to me all the time. Oh, am I going to do it again? Oh my god. Nah, that one's good. Oh! Alrighty. Righty. Look at that! that. Oh, I'm so happy with that. So happy with that. Now, I'm just going to immediately just wipe off. Now, this is a non-stick surface, so what I'm going to do, because it took me a while to do that, and I've done this before with this, a little trick, if you do get some paper glaze or paper glitz that is stuck on your work surface and it doesn't come off, you can scratch it off, but the easiest way, baby wipes, like that, and I'm just going to leave them there for a few minutes, and yeah, it'll soak in and it'll be fine. Now, also with my stencil, again, I've taken a bit of time with this, so what I will do is right now, I'm going to leave you for about 10 seconds. I'm going to go and put this in the sink. I will be turned. Just chat amongst yourselves for a tick. Okay. I'm back. Okay, yeah, you can talk about me while I'm not here. Good job. Alright, so to finish off, I'll just finish off one of these cards. And you can see where I'm going with this, because I want this one to like properly dry before I do any stamping over the top of it. This one I think is pretty much ready to go, because that's been sitting there for a few minutes. So all I'm going to do is, it's a little bit damp but not too bad, I need a Christmas sentiment. So what have I got? I could, and I just want a little one. I don't want one that goes right across. I just want a little one. So I could use that. I could use that. Oh, I know, I'm going to use this one. And there's a few others that I could have used. Christmassy. This is my favourite Christmas sentiment stamp from Picket Fence. This is Fancy Christmas Sentiments, but I don't want one that goes right across the card. Today, I'd also like Holly Jolly Christmas, but this card doesn't have any holly on it. So I'm just going to use this Hello Winter, I think. So yes, Picket Fence does have quite a few holiday sentiments, which are pretty cool. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with a little baby one. Hello Winter. Hello Winter. Okay, now, because it would be good if I had it up the right way, hey. I'm just going to make sure that is, that's been just sitting on top of the baby wipe. Make sure it is straight using the grid lines on my Misty. Now, because I am stamping not only on top of Distress Oxide inks, but on the top of splatters of paper glitz, I need to use a pigment ink. So I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black. Just a nice little sentiment there. Understated. Don't need it to be in your face. I'll just clean that off. Get rid of that later on. Alright, and now I need a card base. Card base. I'm going to cut this down because, as you can see, I didn't do this directly onto a card base. I did it onto a panel that was the same size as a card base. So what I'm going to do is just cut it down so that I have just a little border of white around it, because I don't know, whenever I have a card that doesn't have at least a little bit of white space, my eye starts to twitch. Because I am a clean and simple girl at heart. I do like my clean and simple cards. Alright. Done. Done. Alright, now here's one that I made earlier with the blue, but I use the splatters for the blue. I use the splatters on the pink and the blue. But once this one, with all of the snowy treetops, when this is properly dry, I will add some kind of sentiment to that. I might, instead of stamping it, because this paper glitz is a little bit more heavily applied than this one, I might actually do a sentiment and either cut it out, or depending on which sentiment it is, die cut it out, and pop it up on top, so that I don't actually have to stamp over the top of that paper glitz. Okay, so there we go, and I will have to go back to my rainbow one as well. I'm going to add a lot more little dots of white gel pen to that. You know what, I'm absolutely tempted to just add some splatter of paper glitz, because the paper glitz looks, the shine that you get for paper glitz doesn't even compare to just using a white gel pen. Do we agree that the paper glitz is just 1,000 times better? Anyway, so there we have 3 different colour schemes, 3, well, there's the different way of adding detail to these trees, and yeah, any sentiment you want to add to that. You could just use this as a background and add heaps more detail over the top with some die cuts. You could take some, what have I got here? I could like die cut something. I've got some paper glitz. This is the navy wingtips paper glitz that I've just added to some white cardstock. I could die cut that. I could die cut a sentiment out of that. I could die cut some deer out of that. I could do lots of things. I could use the pink on that one. So there's lots of different things you could do over the top of that. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been good fun. You've seen me make multiple mistakes. But then again, that's what card making is with me. Multiple mistakes. But I'm quite happy with the way I managed to fix the ripped off cardstock with that. Hooray for Copic markers being the right colours. Yay! Alright, so thank you very much. Now keep in mind that there is is there one more video tomorrow, I think? And then we will be choosing some winners from the comments in each of these 7 in 7 videos, and Karen will be posting them on Tuesday, I believe. So keep an eye out to see if you have won one of the vouchers. So thank you, everybody. I will clean off my work surface now and go and clean my stencil. All right. Oh, there's 3 more days. Really? 3 more days? I'm counting wrong. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Have a great day.